Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we are going to be talking about Quant Network, aka QNT. So sit back, relax, and before we fully jump on into this video, I do just want to ask guys to please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course I always do greatly appreciate that. And if you do find any of the information in this video valuable, useful, or interesting in any sort of way possible, definitely hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on to never miss a future update. Now, of course, this video is going to be a little bit different than my typical videos. I'm actually going to be changing my content greatly going forward now. It is coming up, or I shouldn't say it is coming up. It is my 1-year anniversary on YouTube officially. Thank you all for the continued support, and I do greatly appreciate it. You guys have been absolutely killing it, and I cannot tell you guys how much I am thankful for all of the support and engagement. It truly is incredible. But of course, I mentioned Bitcoin in my XRP video. If you guys do want to go check that out, you guys are more than welcome to go check that out. It does include my, major updates on in terms of like where I want to see not QNT, but Bitcoin in terms of QNT and things like that. But for QNT right now, I definitely am kind of watching if we do break out of the $118 range or not. But for the most part, I'm just watching Bitcoin closely because I do expect if we can't break over 40K and actually hold above that level, a little bit more downward pressure. And I know that that is scary for a lot of individuals because we will most likely retest the summer lows of like 28K to like around like 30, like roughly 2.5K. But with all of that in mind, I'm not too concerned on the price action on any of these altcoin holdings. And it's not just because I don't have enough invested to actually worry about it, but it's more so the idea that I don't worry about my investments because guess what? These are investments at the end of the day. But today I'm going to be starting off with this white paper. Now, this was, some quant predictions, the 3-year DLT market evolution. Now, first off, when we are talking about DLTs, I talked to you guys about distributed ledger technology a lot. In fact, I talked to you guys about DLTs probably more than anything on this channel. But I do want to talk to you guys about some predictions from Quant themselves. Now, to really understand what they are talking about, you got to understand that DLNs are distributed ledger networks and DLTs are distributed ledger technologies. A DLN is basically what Quant has built. It's going to interconnect all DLTs onto one major DLN. Now, overall, when we are talking about DLTs are the big thing right now. In fact, they have been rising in terms of popularity. We know that DLTs are absolutely taking over. Hedera is clear from what we do see in today's crypto world as the clear-cut and dry enterprise-grade DLT. It is the most utilized. It is the most sustainable, etc. But where does Quant really kind of lie within this market? First off, we do see here Quant's main predictions. Focus shifts from technology to business, from DLTs to DLNs. Growing impact of regulation and governance on commercialization of DLT rise of well as governed DLNs. Growth in implementation and adoption of national and regional DLNs. Acceleration of the growth of tokenized assets on managed DLNs. And then for mainstream adoption, cryptocurrency will be marginalized by a move towards fiat-backed tokenized money enabled by, again, DLNs. The reason why I'm bringing up these quotes and stuff like this is because when we are talking about DLNs and we're talking about even DLTs, Quant is the major player behind all of this. Quant will basically make all of this move. Think of DLTs and crypto right now as a car without wheels. Yeah, sure. Does it look good? Sure. But can you drive it? No, it's not going to move. Right now, Quant is already here. Quant has already built out, these major, use cases. It already is here in terms of an interoperability foundation. So Quant is basically the wheels that will be provided for DLTs to actually move and pretty much go from, point A to point B. And point A and B are both DLT technologies, or I shouldn't say DLT technologies, but we'll just say DLT networks, because these networks will basically have, say for so, this central bank has their CBDC on, point A, and then point B has a completely different CBDC that is built on that network. Those two will need to be bridged, and Quant will basically be the wheels that move those bridges together. Or I should say, it's basically the engine behind it, technically. But we just here, in short, we at Quant predict that by 2024, the world will, in terms of connectivity, be a very different place from the world we see today. It will be a world where DLNs are mainstream, and a world which will offer huge benefits to governments, companies, and individuals alike. And this is all, of course, coming from, their chief product officer. But when we are talking about Quant, they definitely are taking over at rapid pace. I mean, honestly, the things that we are seeing right now happening in crypto, it's honestly insane how fast things have been moving. But I definitely do want to talk to you guys more so about this network for, of course, the new financial system. So, of course, all it is relying on interoperability, speed, and efficiency. But interoperability is the biggest thing because all of these major networks always offer speed and efficiency, but interoperability is where all of these DLTs really kind of lack, and that is exactly why Quant's over Ledger is really kind of being that key aspect player in this market. And of course, we do see here, central and commercial banks across the world have significantly increased CBDC and digital asset initiatives. For an example, we do see, MUFG, Nomura, we even see Commonwealth Bank, BBVA, Santander, HSBC. I mean, these are some big names, and of course, we have JP Morgan, Northern Trust, and even BNY Mellon. All of these are either interested, researching, experimentation, implementation, or even launched in terms of their CBDC. So things are moving rapidly within this area, and of course, this is as of August 2021. A lot of this has changed greatly since then, but we also see here that central bank digital currency activity increased significantly in 2021 in an effort to create the next evolution of money, Cash 2.0. Central banks from countries that represent over 90% of global GDP are reported to be exploring CBDCs. And I'm just saying, if these all launch in terms of CBDCs, and we do see like over 90% of the global GDP captured in terms of central bank digital currency money, that's going to be huge because, of course, in terms of the global, domestic product, we do see in 2022, which is this year, this will actually hit $102 trillion. Also, by 2026, this will have reached $127.3 trillion in terms of GDP growth. That's pretty massive. But all of this is going hand in hand with, of course, the future of money. The future of money will be digital in a sense. I mean, at least a large portion of it will, maybe like 50%, who knows. But even the ECB sees this. This is the European Central Bank. Of course, they are seeing, the use of DLTs in post-trade processes. Now, this is where things get interesting. So I'm actually going to connect the dots here in terms of, for an example, trade finance. So let's actually talk more so about this. Now, of course, they're talking about DLTs. They're talking about fintech in general. Of course, the major player here in terms of the, trade finance area is, of course, one major player. And can you guys guess who that player is? Yeah, it's Zinfin. And also, with Zinfin comes one major key player, and that is R3 Corda. Funny thing about R3 Corda is here we have Quant and SIA. So SIA partners with Quant Network to explore innovative solutions in blockchain interoperability for banks and financial institutions. Now down here we do see here SIA partners with Quant Network to explore, of course, what we just basically said. But we see this first quote. The first interoperability test will be executed on R3's Corda and private Ethereum platforms. The funny thing about R3 Corda is, like I said, when we're talking about, trade finance, here we have, R3 in terms of trade finance, blockchain for trade finance, how DLT/blockchain technology is reshaping the industry. Again, why Corda? You could read all about this, testimonials, things like that. Of course, we've always connected the dots in terms of R3 to Zinfin or AKXDC. Now, when we are talking about post-trade processes to trade finance, it's a little bit different overall, simply because this is basically after a trade is completed. This is basically just the after-trade process. But, if we are talking about DLTs within this area, I definitely do think that it could be, kind of aligning with R3 or even Zinfin. But the funny thing about this is that almost all of this stuff is going to be interconnected in some sort of way. Like, we're seeing even here digital assets in national jurisdictions of some EU member states, France, Luxembourg, Italy, Germany, things like that. DLTs are making their rounds. DLTs are making their rounds everywhere. Zinfin is definitely in the trade finance area. HBAR is absolutely killing it right now in terms of, really kind of going after the enterprise grade, system. But even in terms of like all of these markets combined, like there still needs to be interoperability layers. That's exactly why I do think that when we are talking about R3 Corda, Quant already has a direct connection to R3 Corda through, of course, SIA. So, if we are talking about maybe Zinfin having interoperability, I don't know if they are seeing interoperability from Zinfin's side or if they're seeing interoperability from Quant's side. We don't really know the interconnectivity layers of this and how this will really kind of be shaping, but we just know that SIA and Overledger, or I shouldn't say SIA and Overledger, but SIA and Quant have this massive partnership already together that definitely connects them to like major players like 570 plus banks. Like this is a huge innovation, right? And again, like I said, Quant will definitely be a star player behind a lot of this, interoperability between CBDCs, facilitating a ton of price movement. And then everyone always mentions the idea on like, yeah, this is the company, but what about the token? Because, this is all Quant. It isn't QNT, it's Quant. And when we are talking about interoperability and when we're talking about innovation continuing to, be further down the road, and we're even talking about DLNs being, of course, the next star player, because right now DLTs are definitely getting a lot of spotlight. They're new out on the block. Everyone loves them. I mean, they're basically that new shiny object that you see, and it's like, I need to have that. It's cool. It's great. That's basically what DLTs are right now. But everyone's kind of, not warming up to the idea on what basically is interoperability. Nobody really knows what interoperability is until you actually explain it to them. All right, and this is exactly where QNT comes into play. So first off, QNT, according to Forbes, there are around 18,000 active crypto devs. It is estimated that Ethereum devs account for around 4,000 of these. In its first week, QNT has signed up over 1,000 devs for, to their free King's College London course. Now, this is not the big deal to me. In fact, this is not the big deal to me at all. Trust me, QNT is absolutely killing it, or I shouldn't say QNT, but Quant is absolutely killing it. QNT as a token itself is also doing extremely well in terms of price appreciation for those early adopters. But where does the true price action start to begin? Because everybody's seen a ton of growth, a ton of development happening on Quant and things like that. But nobody's really understanding why QNT by itself, like the price of QNT, absolutely skyrocketing, right? Because we've been in a massive downward trend for a while now. I mean, if we go back to the 1 year chart, here you have it. So since September 9th, we have been in a massive downward trend, sort of kind of hitting a stable point right now. But where does QNT's real price start to show? Well, here you have it. QNT tokenomics are interesting. 33% more scarce than Bitcoin. Token lockup for Overledger, utilization. Token lockup for gateway staking. Fiat fees converted to QNT. As enterprise demand and usage grows over time, QNT is bound to grow too. And this is exactly what I talk to you guys about a lot. Like right now, what really is driving Bitcoin's price action? Just adoption, right? What's driving Ethereum's price action? Again, adoption of the network. In terms of Quant and QNT, the direct connection between Quant and QNT is the idea that as Quant becomes more and more prominent around the world in terms of its major use case, which is, of course, Overledger. Okay? As Overledger continues to be used and, we're seeing a ton of volume driving over, of course, the Overledger network, that's when we will see, of course, QNT starting to really ramp up in price. Because like, Tokenizer is saying here, a token lockup for Overledger network utilization will happen. Token lockups for gateway staking will also happen. But as more and more Overledger use, occurs, more and more of those tokens become locked up, meaning more demand, aka, supply and demand, price starts to skyrocket. And I'm not saying that we're going to see, for an example, a supply shock to QNT. I think that we will see a supply shock for QNT eventually, but at current rates, no, we most likely won't. But I will say this sitting with 12 million in the circulation supply bank vault, if you will, QNT definitely has a huge future ahead of it. I do think that a lot of individuals kind of confuse the idea on Quant versus QNT because, of course, similar to Ripple, we're not investing into Ripple. We're buying XRP, the settlement token on, of course, RippleNet. Similar to Quant, we are buying QNT. This is basically the access code to, of course, Overledger and Quant products, which again still drive massive success and demand behind QNT as a token itself. But there's also a lot more utility within QNT as a token itself, and I might actually make a full-on breakdown video of this to really kind of show those individuals confused about what QNT really kind of offers for the network. Really what it does offer to the network, basically. So, with that being said, to really kind of wrap up this video, though, because it is getting a little bit long, to really kind of just sum it up, when we are talking about Quant Network, it definitely is going to be a main player for, of course, the new financial system. I know a lot of individuals are kind of, I would say a little bit suspicious on CBDCs. They don't really want them. A lot of individuals do want them. A lot of people want them if they are utilized properly and if they are implemented properly, and I'm kind of on that fence with it. We don't really need a retail CBDC. We just kind of need a banking CBDC. But with all of this in mind, Quant definitely will have a major role to play within the future financial system. And when we are talking about DLNs, I definitely do think that DLNs are on their way in terms of mainstream adoption. But I do think that we are a little bit of time away, similar to what they are saying here. By 2024, it's going to be extremely different. 2 years away, I mind you. And definitely in 2 years, this space is going to be extremely different. We're seeing a lot of CBDC talk. We're seeing a lot of DLT talk. We're seeing a lot of crypto adoption talk in general. And again, when we're talking about DLNs and when we're talking about Quant, yeah, I do 100% see these major DLNs. And of course, when we're talking about DLNs, they will be powered by Quant in terms of an interoperability layer because it is patent technology and they already have major players under the board for Quant. Like, for an example, Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Euro Association. All of this goes hand in hand with, of course, as CBDCs continue to roll out and as CBDCs continue to thrive, because this is outdated, I mind you. Again, the need for interoperability is more and more and more of a necessity. So with all of that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.